Hello and welcome to today's video. Today I wanted to sit down and do a get ready with me using some not really new but mostly unused products that I featured in one of my last videos. I will link it in the cards above. But I basically saw Sophie Alexander post she showed off makeup that she had not used yet in her collection. And at first I thought, I don't have that much stuff. Then I went rummaging through my collection and found a lot of stuff. And then I also have to thank Teresa. In the comments, she mentioned that I should do a video where I use some of those products for the first time. So I have pulled out a good bit of them. Not all the makeup that I'm going to use today is new or like unused, but a majority of it I think is. So also, I should say this about Teresa. She has a YouTube channel and I will link her channel down below if you want to go check it out too, because this was a great idea. So thank you, Teresa. And so yeah, let's go ahead and get started. I'm actually really excited to do this because, as everyone probably knows already, Ulta 21 Days of Beauty has been announced, and I've kind of been like waiting to see if this was gonna be good. I'm trying to do a no buy as best I can, but there's a little bit of me, I always love these like beauty sales, so I was really curious. And I have to say that I'm actually surprised that I wasn't really drawn to much. The only thing that I saw in the 21 Days of Beauty sale that's really tempting me is that Cover FX like blush duo, the one with the matte side and the shimmery side. That's the only thing that I really am like curious to try. So I'm probably gonna struggle in this video because I'm not used to doing get ready with me's in general, but when I do them, I usually don't talk about the makeup and I talk about whatever I have on my mind. But today I actually want to talk about the makeup some. So I pulled out the Becca Backlight Priming Filter, and that's what I just massaged onto my face. I did add a little extra like right here on my forehead. Sorry, I'm looking at my viewfinder because I can tell that I look a little shiny, so if that's why, it's on purpose. So I just decided to try this one because I have a couple different illuminating products in my collection, like primers that I really enjoy, and I had not tried this thing yet. So this one is the one I hear the most about, and I will eventually try, or I probably will try the First Light one tomorrow just to directly compare. But I have to say, off the top of my head, I definitely notice obviously it gives me like a sheen to my skin, but I almost expected it to be more shiny. Like it just feels, I don't know, I guess I expected it to look more like a liquid like highlight almost, but it's really not that intense. So I have, high hopes that it might be good. Another one that I'm going to use in my T-zone, like I have pretty large pores right here and a little bit right here. This is the Makeup Forever Step 1 Skin Equalizer Skin Smoothing Base, I guess, and I want to try it just the tiniest little bit. Oh wow, it's kind of like the Benefit color. I didn't expect that, but like the Professional color. I'm going to try just a little bit of this. Feels like it might be kind of thick right in my T-zone. All in all, I would say that feels very smooth. Feels a lot like the Benefit one, but I think it might even have like more of like a slip. It's very nice. I don't hate that at all. That's very nice. Okay, I always like to put on my primer first and kind of let it sit there on my skin for a little bit, warm up. And then what I'm gonna do next is kind of prime my eyes. I'm gonna use just some Tarte Shape Tape because the very inner corners of my eyes are very dark. And then I'm gonna try out my Urban Decay eyeshadow primer. This is one that I talked about in that video that I've not tried yet. So I'm actually really excited to try that. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that really quick. Okay, getting back to what I was saying about the Ulta 21 Days of Beauty, I'm curious if any of you who are watching this, what kind of items have you seen in the sale that you might pick up or that are tempting you? This year is, I'm kind of shocked. Like I know the last 2 years I was platinum at Ulta, and I am not platinum anymore. I lost my platinum status last year because I did a low buy, and I'm living in Sweden. So I kind of miss being platinum because they give you extra deals on those days and you get free shipping. So if you want to buy one item, you can, and they'll ship it to you for free. So you don't have to, I hate paying for shipping. I'm that person. But then again, deep down, I'm trying to tell myself that like, you absolutely know there's absolutely nothing that I need from that sale. Want, sure, but there's really nothing I need. Actually, the only thing I think that we actually could use in our, like both Bo and I use this item, it's the, I can't think of the official name right now, but it's the skin like item that you put on top of like breakouts and it helps like dry it out. It's got like salicylic acid and that kind of thing in it. I think it's the drying lotion. There is like a bundle one day that's half off. That's the bundle I normally buy. and we are almost out of the one we have like now. It will probably be gone about midway through this year or so, maybe. So I'm kind of on the fence if I'll buy that one, because I don't think technically I don't think that's really breaking my no buy. So switching back to talking about makeup really quick, I asked Teresa, since she was the one who gave me the idea for this video, and I was sitting down last night trying to plan it, pulling out makeup that I wanted to use, and I couldn't decide which eyeshadow palette to use out of the, I believe I showed 5 in the video. And she said she loves Soft Glam, but she thinks this palette's really pretty. So I figured maybe I think I'm mostly gonna use this guy because it sounded like she was maybe slightly more interested in that palette. I am gonna grab Tempera from here and set my eyelid, or all that primer and stuff. I have pretty like creasy eyelids, so if I don't, I feel like, unless I want like a really strong shade, I won't set with a base shade like that, but I really think that I want to put some glitter on, so I think it's good and a smart decision to set it today. I don't know if I might pull in this shadow here, one of these, Sienna or Rustic, so I'm gonna leave this beside me for now, but for the most part, I really do want to play with Baby Got Peach. And let's see, it's so hard for me to open. I love this palette so much. It's beautiful. I've not even touched it really yet. I think I've swatched it a ton. I want to, we'll see today. I think I'm gonna start with Darlin up here, this really light transition shade, and really go high in my crease. And then I'll go in deeper with Centerfold, which is that really, the very, very peachy shade right there in the crease, like more like colorful. And then maybe in the outer corner, I'll put Half Baked, and then I'm gonna go on top with Get Even, and I might even throw a Hungry Ghost on top. That Hungry Ghost shade is what I like bought this palette for. So I'm just telling you what I'm doing so that I don't have to stop each step and I can kind of talk a little bit more. Maybe that will help. Okay, let's get back into chatting and hanging out. I think that I worry a lot, if you haven't noticed, especially if you saw my like low buy or no buy rules video, like what am I gonna do this year? I posted that video and I was so nervous. And I know I talked about like just struggling a little bit in that video, and I wish I could come on camera today and be like, you know, I'm better. I'm doing much better, but I'm really, it's just one of those times where I'm struggling with my depression and anxiety a lot more than usual. And this happens to me. It's something that I feel like I've struggled with for as long as I can remember. I've always been a very anxious person. I've always been prone to like burnout. My go-to is like I have anxiety, and then when I try to ignore it or I don't handle my self-care well enough, I get depressed. And that's just a natural cycle of like anxiety and depression. And I realized lately that I have been ignoring my like good self-care for a while, and I haven't been myself lately, and I'm tired. I wish I could say that I'm all back together, but I think I have a lot of work to do. But that's just, you know, the name of the game, I guess. But one of the things that I dislike the most about like struggling with this kind of stuff is that I get so disconnected. Like I feel disconnected from YouTube lately. I normally watch a lot more videos and I have the energy to comment on almost every video that I watch, but you know, lately I haven't had that energy at all. It's been very hard for me to like, if I watch, I get in my head about not knowing what to say, and so then I don't comment, and then I feel like you know, just disconnected from a space that is typically like one of my only social outlets besides my husband and calling my family. YouTube is really one of my only social outlets at the moment. So I feel a little bit disconnected, and for those of you who are watching who normally comment on my videos and stuff, and I comment on yours, like if I've been MIA, I apologize. I'm just trying to do a better job of taking care of myself, and I'll get it together eventually, but full disclosure, I'm not my best self lately. And I can tell that I'm really, I don't know if anybody else, like if you're someone who lives away from your family and friends, like do you get homesick often? Does it ever go away? Because we've been here for over a year and a half, and I kind of thought that by now maybe I'd be through like with the homesickness, but I haven't. I was even talking to my mom earlier this week, and I haven't even told her yet that, I mean, I tell her that I miss her and stuff, but I was looking at her and I was like, I can't even tell her how sad I am right now, because talking to her makes me, I'm at that point of like depression where it's like I miss her so much that it makes me sad to talk to her, which is like, that's depressing. I am going to go into this just a little bit to warm up the outside or deepen up the outside of my like shade here. So I think I'm gonna go in with sienna. But back to what I was saying, I know that's kind of like hard, but it's one of those things, is like when I feel that like disconnected from both, like from social outlets and from family, it's kind of hard to like figure out your way out of it. I think right now I've got to figure out a way to take better care of myself, emotionally and physically. Because you know, if you've ever struggled with depression or anxiety, you kind of get to the point where you don't have the motivation to go do things. I'm not exercising regularly, which helps with like mood and just emotions, period. Like, it's good for your emotional health to move and be physical, and I'm stopping doing that, which is not good. So I realized that I'm getting to that point that something's got to change, and hopefully this weather will continue to warm up a little bit, because that's another thing that keeps me in the house here is I hate cold weather. The idea of like biking to the gym when it's like snowing or gonna rain and be cold, like close to freezing outside, it's like I can't motivate myself to get outside, and so then I'm just stuck in the house all day, and then I don't talk to anybody, and then I wonder why my energy's low at the end of the day because I haven't done anything. So I'm well aware that I have some nasty habits like that I need to break. Okay, I have a feeling that I'm about to have trouble concentrating for a minute because I'm going to try to apply some glitter, so I'm going to go speed through this process really quick and then I'll come back. Okay, I'm also going to apply some lashes. I have this Ardell lash book. This is not the faux mink style. The faux mink style ones are my favorite, but I do need to use these up eventually. So I think I'm gonna use a funky lash. I've never used something like this before, that like very like weird spiky one. I kind of want to try it just to, I mean, eventually I've got to use all of these, so I might as well try something cool like this. Okay, eyes are done. For the most part, I really like how that glitter looks. It looks so pretty. Sorry, hopefully I'm not blinding you. I think it looks so pretty. I was almost afraid to like wear it, that it would be too white, but it's such a gold and peach reflect in it that I'm in love. I'm really happy with that glitter. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's coming across on camera, but I'm very pleased with that. Also, it's so peach that it's insane. Like, I don't know, sometimes I pick up palettes like this and I look at it, and I especially look at that shade like in the center called Centerfold or something like that. Let's see. Yeah, that shade Centerfold, and I worry that it will be too pink, but layered with the other shades, it's very peach, and especially like with that Get Even shade, which I covered up with the glitter, but holy cow, it's just really pretty. Peachy pink shift, very flattering. Yeah, I'm really excited to have these colors in my like arsenal. But yeah, let's go on and move on to the face. So like I said before, I used 2 new primers, and I really want to give those primers like a fair shot. So instead of using a new foundation and not knowing what in the heck is doing what, I'm going to go ahead and use my Tarte foundation that's in my year-long project pan, and I'm going to use this all over, because that way I can kind of tell whether or not the primer actually does illuminate anything, because that's a pretty satin matte finish on me. And yeah, and see also if my pores look different than normal, because I have a general idea of how this foundation looks on my face. So okay, let's go back to mental health kind of stuff. So something else about me, like even as I was sitting here putting on lashes and sitting quietly doing my makeup off camera, I like sitting here and I'm kind of like rethinking, I'm like, gosh, I'm so uncomfortable saying this stuff in this video, and I know I'm still keeping it pretty like vague, but like there's a part of me that's so afraid to like mention this stuff, and I think it's intensified by the fact that like I feel like I should have my stuff together more. I shouldn't struggle this hard in certain ways, because I'm in the mental health field. When I was in the US, I was working in the mental health field. Like I do this really unfair thing to myself where I'm like, you shouldn't struggle, because if you want to help other people, you can't struggle this much. Like I feel too weak or something. But then again, I know that's not realistic. I know the statistics of how many people are, struggle with these kind of things. So I would never be that, harsh on anyone else. Like, I really need to learn to be kind to myself, but it's really not easy. I'm gonna go in with concealer, and I'm using just things that I know work together. So nothing really new to speak about here, but I'm using the NYX under eye like color corrector and then Tarte Shape Tape again. And so yeah, I know for a fact that I gotta figure out a better relationship to work while I'm here in Sweden. We're gonna be here for probably another year, and the reality is that I'm very unhappy in my work situation. And so the thing I'm figuring out about myself is just how important work was to me in the US. It was something that I think I took for granted. There was a couple of years at the beginning of my marriage where I didn't have like a really good job. I wasn't that fulfilled, and I felt then about how I feel now. And then we moved to Atlanta, we got in grad school, and I finally got a career for myself. And then things changed for me. I really enjoyed work. I mean, I was challenged by it and I was exhausted by it a lot of times, but I enjoyed it. And I think now having this job here where I don't get support in a position, and so what I do, I have this weird cycle with work here. I'm like, well, I don't have anything else to do, and so I go until I absolutely crash. Like I go until I'm in tears at work one day, and then I'm like, okay, I need to take a break. So for example, like a week ago, I was in a classroom setting where I needed to call. We have a timeout phone that we can call. It's kind of like instead of sending kids to the principal's office, which is what happened to kids who were disrupted back in my day, being in school, you call the timeout phone and someone comes to your classroom and they kind of assess the situation, and they either talk to someone or sometimes they'll take the kids out. And I had a class of 6th graders for 3 or 4 hours that day, 3 or 4 separate classes. So I'd had them earlier in the week, so they were tired of me. I'm tired of them, they're tired of me. It's hard to wrangle a group of kids that long when they have substitute teachers most of their day. It's like too much. So I ended up during the last class calling this phone to get some help, and the person came in and I'm like, look, I'm exhausted. We're supposed to be doing this work. They're not doing it quietly. Can you help? I'm gonna use this peach powder for the first time. I'm very excited. And so anyways, hopping back and forth again, sorry. So the person comes in and they're like, sure, yeah, I'll talk to these 3, I think it was honestly about 5 kids who were disrupting class, but they said they were gonna take 3 of them out of the room to go work elsewhere. They have had, like, they know these kids have needed kind of special help in the future or in the past. So they're like, we'll take these. Ooh, it smells very much like peaches. Wow, okay. So they take the 3 kids out and I have the other 2 with me. And I'm like, okay, I think now that 3 of them are out of the room, I can help these other 2 the right way, because it was a math class. So at the end of the day, I'm like over at a student's desk trying to help someone, and then in the meantime, the other 3 or 4 kids would be like up across the room doing something crazy, and I can't, like, I'm one person in a classroom trying to help, translate Swedish to English in my brain, and that way I can read the question enough to help. And it's too much. So I wasn't in a position to help that well, because I was trying to like wrangle kids. And then when they took those kids out, I'm like, okay, fine. Now I can handle this a little bit better. There's a couple students who need like personalized help, and I can do this. Lucky me, those 2 kids that stayed in the room with me realized that their friends were leaving, and they started, or one of them especially, started acting up really bad because he wanted to go with the other 3 boys. And I was like, no, stay with me. We got this. We can do this math work together. And I'm trying to help him like figure out this problem, and like I'm trying to get him to talk to me about it, and he starts ignoring me and like talking across the room. It's the end of the day. I've worked all day. I don't have any help. No one's checked on me. I'm like exhausted by this point. And this is the class that normally the regular teacher, has some help, or like people check in on, because this class is a little bit more difficult at times. And I'm not the regular teacher, so of course it's a little bit worse for me. And we managed to make it through the rest of the hour, and the 3 boys who got taken out of the classroom to go work elsewhere, they come back in and they're like, hey, we were in the classroom and this whiteboard marker just exploded. We weren't even really using it and it exploded. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, you weren't with the person who took you out? Like, you were in a classroom by yourself? And they're like, yeah, they just put us in a classroom by ourselves, And we didn't do it, but that marker exploded. And at that point I'm like, okay, I'm too exhausted. Like, I'm too exhausted. I just let everybody go, and I just remember sitting there at the end of the day, and it was like the pressure was kind of off, and I just bawled like my eyes out. I was just like, I feel so, I don't even know what the word is. I felt broken, I felt frustrated, but I was like, man, this is a really messed up situation where someone calls, a substitute teacher calls for help. You take the 3 students out, put them in a room by themselves, and think that that is like discipline. That's not discipline. That's rewarding that behavior. They got to go in a room and play all by themselves. And like, then I wonder when I get them, why substitute teachers seem to have it so much harder at that school when, well, now I know we're not like, that's not called support at all. Yeah, you made my classroom easier for a couple seconds, but like long term, when I go back to that class, guess what they're probably gonna do? It's probably gonna be the same thing. So I realized that I have a very dysfunctional relationship with the work here. It's the only job that I've managed to find. And I enjoy being able to financially contribute in some way, because when I have busy days, I do make a decent amount of money for substitute teaching, but at the same time, I make myself absolutely miserable. And I feel like I do this to myself where I go, okay, I'm gonna just go until I burn out. Then I wanna take a break, and then I will come back and go until I burn out. And it's just this really negative cycle where then I start, like, instead of being able to take breaks or tell them no, I don't, like, for example, there are certain days that I don't wanna work because I know I'm not in a great like headspace, or I'm burnt out on some level, and I won't say no because I'm like, I'm not allowed to feel bad. I'm supposed to work. That's what's supposed to happen. I'm supposed to work, and so I make myself go to work even though I'm not okay. Okay, switching back to the makeup, I went ahead and put on this highlight here. This is the Guilty Pleasure Super Shock Cheek from ColourPop, and this one was a newer one that I got, and so it's a very nice peach color. So actually I thought it was very fitting today that, I think they call this an icy peach on their website or something like that. The color description is like icy peach. And so to use this along with that ColourPop, like with this palette is stunning. I'm gonna run a little bit of color underneath my lash line. And then also, I almost forgot, I went ahead, and this is probably the most peachy blush I have with me at the moment. This is from my Stila Perfect Me Perfect Hue Tam Deep palette, and this is in the shade Vibrant. And so that is the blush I used on my cheeks. It's really, I really, really, really like how this look is pulling together so far. Okay, back to work. So I feel like I'm kind of in this holding pattern of like, okay, well my routine is that I work like crazy until I'm absolutely like just exhausted and unhappy, and then I crash and I'm very anxious and depressed over that. Like, I make my anxiety and depression worse because I don't put boundaries up sooner. I don't say no to jobs when I should, or I take days that I know that are just gonna be really tough when I probably shouldn't. And I have a really hard time. I've had some friends kind of encourage me like, Dylan, it sounds like you are in a way letting yourself be a doormat. Like, I haven't figured out a way to stand up for myself and express to them like that example of that classroom and how it was handled is just one example of how I let myself be taken advantage of, because I'm like the first substitute teacher that gets called, and I haven't figured out, not really good at having a backbone. I don't know how to stand up for myself. I don't know how to express myself in this environment. And it's really odd for me because the environment that I came from, I feel like I didn't have that issue. And now that I'm sitting here saying that, I think I realized that a big part of it is that I don't have a contract here. So I think there's a part of me that's like, well, if I stand up for myself too much or I voice the wrong concern to the wrong person, and they don't hear me, maybe they just hear me complaining instead of asking for help in a way, that I won't get any job and I'll lose this opportunity altogether. And part of me is like, well, in the back of my head, I'm like, well, that doesn't sound that bad because you hate it. But at the same time, when it's the only thing I have right now that helps like give me any sort of like financial contribution, like I think there's a bigger part of me that's afraid of losing it, even though I'm absolutely miserable. And so it's a really odd situation that I've never been in before. And honestly, I'm just, you know, I'm struggling with all of the dynamics with this workplace and this environment. And the last thing I'll say about work is that this all, because I'm still stuck in this pattern of exhausting myself and like doing nothing but working too much, is I realize that I'm doing other things, like I am ignoring things that I could be doing for my job back in the US. So when we move back and I want to resume everything, I will have to have a certain amount of work done for my like license and that kind of thing. And I've been here a year and a half and I haven't done the first CEU yet, like the continuing education yet. I haven't done anything to help me in my career, which makes me really sad because I love that career and I feel like I'm not investing in it. Like if I love it that much, then I should be working harder at it, and I just don't have the mental energy right now to do it because I miss it so much that, and I can feel myself getting emotional. I didn't anticipate that, but like I miss it so much that it almost hurts to do things for it, which makes no sense. Ooh, I did not expect to get emotional. I'm sorry. I went ahead and like pulled myself together and put some lip liner on, but I ended up using a combination of Incognito and Hush Hush from Buxom. I really enjoy these liners, and I'm glad I have these, but like I think you know, I have too many liners to the point where I don't reach for these enough. But I'm also going to use, this was one of the shades that I talked about in that video called Jubilee. It's a shade by MAC. It's a luster finish, and it's a nice sheen kind of topper. Okay, so this is the finished look. I actually kind of, once I tried to stop and pull myself together, I kind of lost my train of thought of what I was gonna say about my relationship with work and all of that. But I apologize if this video was kind of just all over the place and a little bit too emotional, but I hope that you enjoy it. I hope that maybe you don't feel this is oversharing, but it's my attempt at being vulnerable and being more open and honest on my channel, because I really want to do a better job of that, because I know in general that when I hold back, it doesn't always serve me the best. So yeah, that is everything for today's video. I really enjoy the makeup look. I think out of everything, first of all, I want to say that I do really like this powder, like a lot more than I thought I would, the Peach Perfect powder. My up close, I don't know if it's the primer or the powder, maybe a combination of both, but like I feel like my pores generally look a lot larger than they do right now. So I don't love a shiny nose. I didn't powder my nose quite enough. But yeah, everything is looking really good. I hate that one flick of glitter down here, but the eyeshadow altogether looks really nice. And it's actually one of those looks where I actually kind of feel like I should have went a little darker on the lip, because I think it's so bright and pretty that it probably could have handled a darker like nude lip, which usually I don't tend to pull for a lot. And this is a very nude option. I almost think that the lip would look better a little darker. But let me know what you think in the comments. Make sure you say hello, and I'll see you in the next one.